Trucker Mike Harper had been on the road for over 30 years. He'd seen it all, the endless stretches of highway, the fog-soaked nights, and the strange characters that came and went. But nothing compared to the night he drove down Route 66, a stretch of road notorious for its isolation and eerie legends. It was a cold October evening, and Mike was making his way through the desolate stretch of the highway. The moon hung low, casting a ghostly light over the road. A fierce wind howled through the trees, and the temperature had dropped sharply. Mike had been driving for hours and was eager to reach the truck stop ahead where he planned to rest. The radio crackled to life, filling the cab with static before settling on an old country tune. Mike glanced at the clock on the dashboard. It was past midnight. As he drove through the pitch-black night, he spotted a dim, flickering light in the distance. He squinted through the windshield, trying to make out what it was. The light seemed to be coming from an old, decrepit gas station that hadn't seen a customer in years. Curiosity got the better of him. "Might as well stop and see if they've got a decent cup of coffee," Mike muttered to himself, pulling off the highway and easing the truck onto the gravel driveway. The gas station was a relic from another era, its neon sign barely visible through layers of grime. Mike parked the truck and stepped out, the chill of the night air biting at his face. As he walked towards the gas station, he noticed that the building was in a state of disrepair. Broken windows, a sagging roof, and a door that creaked ominously. The flickering light came from a single dim bulb hanging above the entrance. Inside, the gas station was even more unsettling. Dust-covered shelves lined the walls, and an ancient cash register sat atop a counter covered in grime. A bell on the door jingled softly as Mike stepped in, but there was no one in sight. He called out, "Hello? Anyone here?" No answer. He walked to the counter and rang the old-fashioned bell. Still no response. As Mike turned to leave, he heard the sound of footsteps echoing from the back of the store. His curiosity got the better of him again. He moved towards the noise, pushing through a door that led to a dimly lit back room. Inside, he found a man hunched over a table, scribbling something frantically in a notebook. The man looked up, revealing a gaunt face and hollow eyes. He wore a weathered trucker hat and a stained, worn-out jacket. "Can I help you?" Mike asked, trying to sound casual despite the man's unsettling appearance. The man's eyes widened, and he stood up abruptly. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice trembling. "You need to leave, now." Mike, taken aback by the urgency in the man's voice, hesitated. "I just need some coffee and—" "No! You need to leave," the man interrupted, his voice rising in a panicked tone. "It's not safe here. It's never safe after midnight." Confused but feeling a growing sense of unease, Mike backed away slowly. As he reached the door, the man's voice echoed in his mind. "Don't stay here past midnight." Mike quickly exited the gas station, the cold night air a stark contrast to the oppressive atmosphere inside. He hurried back to his truck, jumped in, and started the engine. As he pulled out onto the highway, he glanced at the gas station one last time. The flickering light had gone out completely, plunging the place into darkness. With a sigh of relief, Mike continued down Route 66, eager to put the unsettling experience behind him. The road stretched out ahead, but the further he drove, the more he felt an inexplicable sense of dread. It was as though the shadows of the night were closing in on him. An hour later, his radio crackled again, this time with a more urgent tone. A voice on the other end, distorted by static, warned him, "Trucker, be careful. There's something on the road. It's not safe." Mike's hands tightened on the steering wheel. The road ahead was eerily quiet, and the temperature had dropped even further. He kept his eyes peeled, scanning the road for any sign of trouble. The fog began to roll in, thickening and obscuring his view. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the middle of the road, illuminated by the truck's headlights. It was a man in a weathered trucker hat and a stained jacket, the same man from the gas station. He stood motionless, staring directly at Mike's truck. Mike slammed on the brakes, skidding to a stop just inches away from the figure. The man's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and his mouth moved in silent screams. Mike's heart pounded as he backed the truck up, his eyes never leaving the figure. The man began to fade, his form dissolving into the fog. Mike quickly turned the truck around and sped back down the road, the image of the man haunting his mind. He didn't stop until he reached a brightly lit truck stop far from the eerie gas station. As he entered the truck stop, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. The staff there looked at him with a mix of concern and curiosity as he recounted his experience. One of the older truckers, listening intently, finally spoke up. "You saw him, didn't you?" the old man said, his voice grave. "That's the ghost of Route 66. He's been warning travelers for years. Anyone who stays out past midnight or stops at that gas station ends up getting lost in the fog. Or worse." Mike's blood ran cold. He realized that he had narrowly escaped a fate worse than he could have imagined. He never drove down Route 66 again and always made sure to heed the warnings of old truckers and locals about the haunted stretches of road. The memory of that night and the ghostly figure in the fog stayed with him, a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows of the road. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to see more of our content, please hit the subscribe button.